We'll give people a couple more minutes here to get joined, and we will get started here. While people are joining, I did put up in the handouts so that there's a handout that we'll talk about here later on. But wanted to point that out for people as you're joining. You're in the right place if you come here to hear about insurance and cybersecurity. And I got the experts with me. I'm excited.
Easy.
All right, it's 1 after. Let's get started. In here, in your GoToMeeting, there's a Q&A. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to throw those in there, and I'll keep an eye out on the Q&A. And if it's a good time to grab that question, we'll grab it. Otherwise, we will definitely get to all of those at the end. So let's get started. And, can you imagine if you had a manufacturing company and you had a truckload of I-beams that just pulled out of the dock and you get no payment for them? We're going to talk about that today, and we're going to talk about how to make sure that you've got everything in place to cover yourself. So 3 things you need to know before you buy or renew your cyber liability insurance. And we don't want you to get caught off guard. How to avoid those denied claims and that right cyber insurance policy. So I'm Lisa Niekamp-Irwin. I am the president and CEO of Tomorrow's Technology Today. Our headquarters is located here in St. Henry, Ohio. We're a managed security services provider, and we take care of technology, and we really focus in on cybersecurity and protecting our clients. And I'll let you guys jump in.
Yeah, I mean, geez, Lisa, you're putting me to shame here. I tried to find images to match what you're doing, but I didn't have anything. But it's a pleasure to speak with all of you. I'm Ryan Dunn. I'm a partner at Scenario Cyber here. And also I am a co-host of a cyber insurance podcast called the InsureSec podcast. I've been in cyber insurance for far too long. I'm considered a dinosaur in this industry. I've been in it in 9 years now. I've seen it go from being a $200 policy covering stolen laptops to now what it is today, covering the I-beams that get stolen off the yard. So I am super excited to dig into this with you and go into why it's so important and why it's so relevant in today's business.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. I'm Travis Kroger. I'm the cyber lead here at Bowen and Associates, which is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. South Dakota is not really known as a tech state, but it turns out we have one of the best technical schools around. I'm going to Dakota Con tomorrow to meet Jen Easterly with CISA. She is the director of CISA. She's going to be here in South Dakota. I'm pretty jacked about that. I'm kind of a guest co-host on Ryan's podcast. I've been there a couple times. Got a couple more scheduled. I don't know if that's an official title, but I also have my own show that we do after dark. It usually involves a couple beers, some video games, and we talk cybersecurity and kind of get to know the people in the insurance world. But the best way to reach out to me, if you guys want to connect after this is all said and done, is going to be my LinkedIn. I'm most responsive there. You can shoot me an email as well. But I really look forward to diving into this specifically. I didn't put that I-beam claim into the presentation, but I do want to talk about it when we get into the claims because that was a fun one that we handled right here in our office with our client, uh, making sure that we have the correct type of cyber insurance for manufacturers specifically.
Excellent. So guys, let's get right to the question.
Yep.
Why do they need cyber insurance?
Yeah. Uh, so this comes it comes down to something pretty simple here, right? We don't know how much our businesses operate on a digital infrastructure, but it is a lot. And in today's world, it's a little bit different than when insurance started. When insurance started, we relied on our brick and mortar. We relied on our property to
Yeah.
operate, right? And so those were tangible things. We had property insurance coverage for it, general liability coverage for it. It was very standard, right? But now we rely on email. We rely on billing software. We rely on um, supply chain software, right? And we constantly rely on technology to not only run our businesses, but to run our everyday life. And the best way I can describe it from a personal standpoint, if you were to look at your personal life, how you operate, if you were to lose something, a wallet being your physical, right, and your phone being your digital life, what would you rather lose? I would always say I've lived weeks without my wallet. I would rather lose this thing because if I don't have my phone, I can't call my girlfriend. That's a bad thing. I I can't email people. I can't, I run payments through here. I run my company through my phone. And it's same thing goes for your business, right? If your employees or you are not able to operate your business from the
That's so true.
digital infrastructure standpoint, you really can't operate. And there's lost funds there. There's reputational harm. There's crime involved with that. So from a very simple standpoint, it's the basis of we run our lives on a digital infrastructure now.
We
And I'm
do.
gonna jump in there and be the Debbie Downer because another reason you need cyber insurance is cyber is excluded from your other policies, right? And as we move into this digital world, heck, my Traeger has multi-factor authentication before I can start cooking with it. Um, these things are the business today, right? This isn't where we had dials and now we press a
Yeah.
button.
Yeah, so true. So true. So, what really makes for a good cyber policy?
You mind if I take this one?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Travis, go ahead.
All right. So a good cyber policy, Lisa, what's been your experience? What your clients think is a good one?
Well, so I've gone in, one of the things that we've been doing with our clients is going in and talking to them, do you have cyber insurance? What's it look like? Oh, yeah, yeah, we got it. We got it. I'm like, okay. And did you fill out a 15-page document? Because I don't remember seeing one. Oh, no, no, it's part of our business insurance. And and that doesn't true seem to be, in talking with you guys, that's not the way to go.
Perfect. Let's step it back and understand kind of what coverages are in cyber insurance. The next slide really gives a good graphic of
Yeah.
some of the costs that are associated with both first party and third party. First party, think your stuff. Third party, think
Oh, I
the
really do.
stuff of your clients. And
Yep,
we're we're jumping right now.
yep, we're good. Sorry.
So in the event of a claim, it's not just that ransomware that you hear about on the news. It's not just sending the money. There are forensics, there are legal fees, there are state compliance that if you don't send out notification at the right time to the right people, you're in trouble. Those are all things where cyber insurance really kicks in. Now, Lisa, we can move forward to that next slide with that great picture. I love the tiny trophy. This is the type of policy that you were talking about with your clients, right? Um, your average insurance agent, hopefully I don't offend anybody here, is probably an old white guy that's really good at golf. Um, they understand cyber insurance about as much as I understand quantum computing. It's its own language, and they're very comfortable putting a piece of paper on your policy for $500 that says cyber insurance because you're covered. reality, there are sublimits baked into this bronze level policy, and this is a broad representation, right? This every cyber insurance policy is going to be different. I made some generalizations here because that's kind of how I see it in my world. You're going to have smaller limits. Those sublimits for specific things like ransomware could be as small as $10,000. The last ransomware you heard about was not a $10,000 ransomware, right? We're talking usually they ask for the sky, what you can afford. Um, Go ahead and let's move on to the silver. This is what the slightly educated agents will start to offer you. Major companies that have been around forever often have their own standalone cyber policy, and this is way, way, way better than that piece of paper, um, with a catch, right? If this is what you can afford and this is what you really qualify for, because you have an antivirus, right? It may not be an endpoint detection and response. It may not be next gen, but you have something, AVG, Windows Defender, basic in place. You have a backup system, kinda, right? You upload it to OneDrive, right? You got something in place. You don't have open ports on your RDP, remote desktop protocol. And you've talked about getting multi-factor on your email, but they'll offer it to you without. This is where a lot of businesses sit, because these markets are widely available to all independent insurance agents, right? You can easily get appointed with them. Um, Pretty easy to understand because it is a good policy. It's not great, but it's way better than nothing. Uh, the next two are where I really want to focus my efforts, though. The gold, got the gold medalist Michael Phelps himself right there representing. Um, this is where it starts to get good. This is the companies that they specialize in the cyber insurance world. They have those long applications, those 10, not 10 pages. Really, the longest one that we deal with is about 6 pages. So there's 10 pages all in, but like 3 of them's fluff. So don't worry about that. Don't look at the total page count. These ones you have to qualify for, right? And with a strong MSSP and MSP partner like Tomorrow's Tech today, this shouldn't be an issue, uh, right, Lisa? These are things that, uh, from a general standpoint of cyber hygiene, people should be doing, and that's what I
Exactly.
love about working with companies like yours. Is we get to deal with the cream of the crop who has been underserved by people that don't necessarily understand cyber insurance.
Right.
You guys are doing things right, so let's get the best coverage. And look at the bottom there, the cost, right? We're talking 5 to 10% more than that policy that we just talked about, that silver policy. Um, but we're getting much better limits. We're getting much better sublimits. We're not getting the gotchas, right? And now let's move forward to the platinum, because here's the really cool part. If you not only are doing those things right that Lisa's requesting, but you're also doing some procedural things right, callback provisions on wire transfers, right? Employee training, really focusing in on the operations side of managing this cyber risk. Now, for about the same price as that gold, we can qualify for the best of the best. We get exclusive endorsements. We get stuff that other insurance agents don't even know exist because of our relationships with our underwriters and with the companies themselves. And so that's really the cool part about knowing how to get there, knowing the people that you need on your team, like Lisa, and really focusing in on what can we do to get a little bit better.
So it comes down to not necessarily, what do I want to say, that you got to have, if you do what your managed service provider, what your IT really wants you to do, it comes down to the possibility of having a good policy, um, at doing what you really need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll jump in here a little bit on where these apply, where these different levels apply from like a coverage standpoint, right? Because we talked about hey, like if you think you're covered because you have the line cyber in your general liability coverage, it's just not the case. That's the piece of paper level that we're talking about, and that's kind of where people, because there isn't proper education around there, that's when
Yeah.
people start to hate insurance, right? Because they don't know what they're sold, and so it's super important for everyone that's on here to understand, like, and we will go into these claims examples in a little bit here, but it's super important to keep in mind as we're talking, like, this is not just, hey, like I have my data in the cloud and it's backed up, so I'm good. It's not as simple as that. If you suffer a breach, whether it be from crime where they stole funds because of a wire transfer fraud, or whether it be from a piece of software that you rely on that you don't even have control over it going down, but it does, or whether it be a ransomware activity, right? These are things that are going to incorporate different stages of costs. Like Travis said, you're going to have to hire incident response, forensics, lawyers. We all know how expensive lawyers can be. And so you have that piece. You have the piece of getting the bad guys out of there. You have the piece of remediating. And so just keep that stuff in mind as we go around, dig into these claims examples, because it's super important to realize this stuff costs money. And if you don't have a good insurance policy, you're not going to have, I like how
Stop.
Travis always says it. It's like, yeah, Travis always says, like, hey, a good the great thing about cyber insurance company is they quarterback it. And so,
Yes.
do you, what quarterback do you want? Do you want Patrick Mahomes, or do you want, like, you want me as your quarterback? Like, who do you want? So think about that whenever you're looking into these claims examples and these different levels of policies.
So let's get a little bit into the high cost of a cyber incident. Digging a little bit deeper into what this really means.
Yeah. So, like Ryan said, it's not just the one cost of whatever that was stolen. Like the I-beams that we were talking about, there was about $120,000 worth of I-beams on that trailer, um, and that was gone in an instant. I can dive into that, but during that claim, we not only had the theft, we had to do digital forensics and incident response. The DFIR firm charged $30,000 approximately on that one. So now we're at a $150,000 loss. The legal counsel who was responsible for coming up with an official release and really kind of guiding, holding their hand along any implications legally they might have. That was an additional $15,000. They had a forensic accountant come in and make sure that everything was being tracked proportionally. That was a couple grand. There are a lot of costs that people don't think about with an incident. In fact, at the end of that one, the additional costs were about 50% of the actual stuff that was stolen. And that was all as a result of trusted companies' email getting compromised. The bad actors sat in their inbox, which was tricky because they sat in there for over 6 months and they saw these orders come, orders go, and they realized that the back and forth between my customer and this trusted vendor that they were sitting in was pretty automated, right? They put in an order, pick it up, pay it at the end of the month. Um, so the bad guys hired an independent trucker, uh, said, yep, we'll be pulling in at 12 o'clock on Friday. You can just load it up. We'll take it. I don't know how the conversation went. I'll be honest with you. I'm just assuming it went something like that. But it was all done via email. And everyone, this was not out of the normal. Uh, Everything went as expected. And then at the end of the month, they sent them the bill for those I-beams that they picked up like they do every other week. And they go, we didn't order any. That wasn't us. Um, We have no record of that truck. We have no record of any of that. And we looked underneath their crime policy originally because you think they stole stuff, right? That's called voluntary parting. It's uh, definitely excluded from a crime policy. If you hand the keys to somebody there and they take it, that's voluntary parting. Um, but then we got digging into cyber. And there are cyber carriers out there, not very many, that offer theft of tangible assets. And due to social engineering, they gave away this stuff, and it was a covered cost. It was a covered claim. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head, right? Every cyber insurance policy isn't the same. Um, I've got another claims example if we have time for it. What do you think, Lisa?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's move forward a slide. This one is much more common. Um, I'll let, this is going to be up the entire time, so take the time to read it. Uh, Long and short is there's a controller at a manufacturing plant. They received this call from their bank, and it said, "Hey, just a heads up, we've got a lot of fraudulent activity going on your account. Um, we're in really big danger of these funds leaving the country. I need you to freeze your account." Um, and of course, in order to do that, you need to know the password and PIN, right? So the bad actors had done well. I haven't really told you that they're bad, but the bad actors had done some research and found out that this bank required a PIN and a safe word in order to do anything with an account. So they called saying, "Hey, your money's leaving the country. We need to freeze your account now. What's your password and PIN?" And the business owner goes, "Oh crap. 1 2 3 4 5 and password, right? Whatever it was." And they go, "Okay, we're gonna place a freeze on the account. We'll call you right back." Hackers called them right back. "We got the account froze. You're safe. This, we've just barely narrowly avoided this." And so the business owner goes to sleep thinking, "Whew, that was a close call." The next day, the controller called the bank, said, "Hey, I just want to verify that we didn't have any damages, that everything's good." And they're like, "What do you mean? You had 7 transfers yesterday where you transferred a whole bunch of money out. You authorized it. You gave me the PIN and the safe word." He goes, "No, I froze it, right? I didn't want to transfer any money. I wanted to freeze my account." He goes, "No, we never called you yesterday. Um, you called us and had us transfer this money out." So let's move forward one slide. I promised all these words will stay up there, so you can keep reading it. The bad actors are smart, especially with the advent of AI. They're getting smarter. They're getting better. They're getting trickier. So the bad actors knew who their bank was. They knew the exact account number. This stuff's all on the internet, right on the dark web. They knew that it required a password and a PIN code. They're smart. They did their research. They created urgency with the immediate danger, and we need to attack. We need to act now. Um, which, of course, if your money's leaving the country, you need to stop it. It's logical. The When they provided the password and the PIN code, the bank is no longer liable for that lost money because those are protected information that you're provided. That's up to you to keep it safe. So in the world of insurance, that was the line right there where the bank was no longer liable. Then it became your problem. Um, in the end, the 146 grand, ouch. It was in the account. They authorized the transfers, and it was too late to recall because of the types of transfer. I don't know the specifics on this. This wasn't one of my clients. This was one of my insurance company's clients, but I can tell you that this type of stuff happens every day. In our agency here in South Dakota, we've got less than 40 employees. We're locally owned, like mom and pop shop insurance type of agency. We're a generalist agency. We've had over $1 million worth of wire transfer frauds and funds transfer frauds since January, right? It's been rampant. This is what happens. Let's go ahead one more time. But luckily, this company had insurance, right? Cyber forensics were just over 17 grand. $146,000 was lost. They had a $5,000 deductible. You can do the math. They got a check for about 160 grand. Without insurance, none of that's covered, right? you're out that money, and without a good insurance policy, I should say, because some of that could be excluded or limited down to that $10,000 sublimit, depending on what your policy looks like. Most of them that I sell have about a $250,000 to $500,000 sublimit on the funds transfer fraud, wire transfer fraud. If you want to try to remember that wire transfer fraud being a big thing, I always use the acronym WTF because uh, what the man, it's relevant. We need to really protect our assets, and just kind of keep that in the back of your head as you're looking through your cyber insurance policy. Funds transfer fraud, wire transfer fraud. Make sure that those have adequate sublimits. Anybody have any questions on these claims? I'd love to dive deeper. The claims are always fun. They suck even if you have the best insurance, but they're the best learning tools out there.
Yeah. Are there any questions in the channel yet?
Have any questions yet, but we don't have any
Okay,
questions
perfect.
yet, but
Yeah.
guys,
I
throw them in that Q&A.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please ask away. But these are such good examples of the crime section of the policy, right? Which is one piece out of the various ways that these things can respond. And this is, this is the area that we see the most frequent amount of claims, right? Is in the funds transfer fraud because the activity is so easy now. Like Travis was saying, with AI, they've gotten so good. I mean, I even received an email yesterday that was like, it was an Adobe email, adobe.com, the actual URL that Adobe uses in their emails. So it's not just, hey, we're gonna flip around and change letters in an email to actually they are utilizing people's email, they get into the company's infrastructure, can create their own email address, and now they're emailing you. So it is it is an ever-changing subject, and they're getting better and better. So like Travis said earlier in the policy examples, if you are wiring or ACHing or doing a lot of payments in your day-to-day activities, you want to focus on that crime section because a lot of insurance carriers and policies will take that out, right? They'll take it out or they'll sublimit it down from the typical 250 to $10,000 or $50,000. And, it hurts to hear the stories of people that thought they had cyber cover, but they didn't have this section involved. And it's very painful.
And you got to remember the reason that they're sublimiting this is because that's where the money's going out of the insurance company. Insurance companies are out there. It sounds cynical, but to make money, to make sure that they have a big enough backstop to handle the claims that they promise to pay. And so they found out, especially during COVID, that they were throwing money out the door
Right.
at the cyber crime coverage because nobody had firewalls, nobody had MFA, nobody had VPNs. It was brutal. But go ahead, Lisa. I interrupted you there.
No, we don't. And I was actually going to piggyback off of that, because of that, because of those kind of things, they're really suggesting the best practices.
Yeah.
So when you do those best practices, you get rewarded, for you got that incident response plan. Now you know exactly what to do. And, you've got a plan. You've got you got that multi-factor authentication going on. And you understand your business and know where your risks are, which gets us right into the next slide of risk management.
Yes, my favorite part. I just finished my certified risk management designation, which through the National Alliance is it's basically insurance nerd stuff. It has nothing to do with insurance, right? Risk management is such a large generic category. Can you go forward one slide, please?
Yep.
It can be broken down into 4 or 5, depending on which school of thought you're buying into, separate sections: avoidance, reductions, transfer, and accept. Um, those categories right there, really in the cyber world, we can throw out avoid. We were just talking about how everything we do nowadays uses technology. And to completely avoid that, I've got a story about that one. We got some time. So I have a contractor. He's a one-man contractor group. Him and his grandson work. They do excavation, and he does everything on paper. His only email address is his personal email address, and he doesn't do any online banking, anything. Um, but he likes the Facebook. So he was browsing for excavators, and he found this crazy smoking good deal down in Florida. He lives in South Dakota. But with the cost of freight and transit, it was going to be worth it. So he wired this person the money to hold it for him because it was such a good deal. He bought a $60,000 excavator that didn't exist. That money was gone. It was long gone. He didn't need a cyber insurance policy, so unfortunately, it wasn't covered by any of his insurance. Um, but avoidance is basically impossible nowadays. The next step, Lisa, this is where you come in, the reduction of risk, the best practices, making sure. Oh, go back, please.
There we go.
Can you go back for me for just a
Oh,
second?
I'm sorry.
The reduction of risk. This is where tomorrow's tech today really comes in and does the best practices, right? These are all things. I'll let you finish coughing. I'll keep talking. Transfer. This is my favorite part. This is the cyber insurance. This is the big show for me, right? All we're doing is we're transferring that risk to an insurance company, somebody else to pay for it. The financial burden of it, we're transferring that. You can do that through self-insurance. I work with a lot of really large companies that like that 500,000 or $1 million deductible, and we build an insurance policy, a backstop around that aspect. So that way they're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on insurance every year. They can just accept some of that risk themselves. Contractual. Almost everybody nowadays, when they download an app or sign up with a third-party contractor, they have to sign that end user agreement that transfers all the risk from that third party that you're signing that to you. So it also works both ways, right? You can accept a ton of risk contractually without even knowing it. Outsourcing IT, service level agreements, these are all things that also transfer risk. But again, you got to watch out. It's a two-way street. If you're transferring some of these, they might be transferring some back to you. And finally, my favorite is the guys that just go, you know what, it is what it is, right? I'm not going to I can't afford the best practices. I can't afford the cyber insurance, so we're just going to do our best. It'll never happen to me. I've been in business 60 years. I've never had an issue. That's fine. You know what? That's as long as you accept that risk and understand what it is. That's totally your prerogative. My job is to help you understand that there is risk out there. It is quantifiable, and we can prevent it. Uh, do you want to touch on any of the sections under reduce, Lisa? Because reduction of risk is your specialty more so than mine. I do have cyber insurance in there, and I can touch on that.
Yeah, really, understanding the different pieces that you have, what you're using in your business. You know, are you using a pop email? You can't put MFA on there. That's like, and I say this all the time, that's just like talking back in the day on the party line. Like, there's no encryption happening on that. So anything you send out through there is unencrypted to the other side. So there was a time where we had where there was an incident where there was literally what we call a man in the middle that had put a bad actor had put themselves in the middle of a firewall. They took advantage of the vulnerabilities of that firewall, and they were able to see everything that went across there. And that included I don't know the right terms, but whenever they did the payroll files, how they had transferred those payroll files, that middle man was able to see that, make changes to it, duplicate that, and able to try to fraudulently get funds rediverted to their accounts. So fortunately, the end user, that the client of theirs, had alerts set up, notifications set up, So they were able to stop everything. But you've got to know all the pieces that are in the puzzle, and that's what your IT company. That's why you've got to be involved. It's so specialized anymore. That's why I got a room full of guys out there, a room full of people out there to help with all of this, because I can't even keep control over it anymore.
Ryan, your background is in cybersecurity and cyber insurance. You want to touch base on some of the complementary services that these insurance companies are really offering to their clients, at least the good ones, and how that really it doesn't compete directly with Lisa. It complements all the services that they're providing.
Yeah, I think what's important to note here is that the insurance carriers have an invested interest in you, obviously, right? And so use the uh, cyber insurance is very unique because it can be used as a cybersecurity tool. And it's because these insurance carriers are investing in cyber resources for you, right? So things like phishing simulations, right? Things like what are called tabletop exercises. That being, hey, let's get Lisa in the room, let's get you in the room, and then let's get us, the carrier, in the room, right? And let's have a conversation. What is going to happen if an incident happens? What is the process? Right? And goes over the various types of claims that can happen. So it's not that you're just buying, a risk transfer piece right there. You're buying a massive resource, a huge resource that really no other policies ever provide. I mean, if you look at property or general liability, it feels like they're always just trying to get you, right? Like you buy a property insurance policy, and next thing you know, you have independent third party inspector go out to the property and they say, "Oh, you got to, do these 10 things or else we're going to cancel your coverage." And it's like, "What the, I just bought this policy. I just want coverage. I don't want problems." So, cyber is very different. It's in its own world. So please think of it in that way where the carrier is actively going to be investing in solutions for you. Um, those two examples are pretty universal across carrier groups, right? They'll also do like, hey, they'll incorporate vulnerability management, scanning, stuff like that. That's where they work with Lisa, right? And they go, hey, we noticed that they have this vulnerability because they're leveraging this software. We are just suggesting that it gets patched, right? It's stuff like that that in the background you don't really know is going on, but Lisa and her team and the carrier are working on making sure that you guys have no interruption. So those are the types of things where, yes, you are transferring risk, but you are also getting a cybersecurity resource on top.
I think the next slide really does a lot of justice to that. I love your graphic here, Ryan.
This is my favorite. Oh God, I might have to go for a peanut butter and jelly today. So this is something unique that you guys are so lucky that you have an MSP like Tomorrow's Tech Today, because not a lot of MSPs are thinking this way. And so, you know, I would definitely consider you guys lucky or whatever, smart for picking a good MSP, because uh, Lisa and her team have decided, right, to start incorporating insurance into their conversation, right? And what that does for you is you guys are investing in cybersecurity products. You guys are invested in IT infrastructure, right? There should be some type of reward there for your cyber insurance. And so, because you guys are working with Tomorrow's Tech Today, we're able to translate what they do for you, and I get to go to the insurance carriers, beat them up, and say, "Hey, I want $1,000 or $4,000 off this policy," right? So, um, you have, and that's set in stone. That's not me just BSing everybody. That is like an actual thing that, because you guys are leveraging tools that Tomorrow's Tech Today leverages, you guys are accessing exclusive insurance programs that the insurance carriers have acknowledged, and they've said, okay, because they're using this tool, because they're doing these processes, we will give them 40% off their premium, right? We will give them, enhanced policy forms where we will add a completely separate limit outside of your aggregate so that that could pay for the forensics and the lawyers and the IR firms. And that doesn't go against your aggregate, right? And then on top of it, you have us, you have Travis and myself. I just noticed my name says Travis Kroger on the
I
side.
saw that too. You must have copied my link, and
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
whoops.
Ryan Dunn and Travis Kroger, being able to ensure that, hey, if you do handle I-beams and you guys are distributing that, making sure that physical, stolen physical goods is included on the policy so that you're not caught in a scenario where like my insurance isn't covering this. So these are the various things that the MSPs need to start being incorporated into, right? It's it's an interesting thing right now in the world of cyber insurance where the MSPs and you are investing in your cyber infrastructure, and then if you have an insurance agent, they're going out in their own silo and they're going to get coverage, but they're not communicating with Lisa. And so if you guys suffer a breach, Lisa's on the hook and you guys are on the hook, but the insurance agent's off, going to play golf, Travis. And so we don't like it to be that way. We like the MSP to be involved in this. So that just to wrap it up, that's why they're PB and J. And if you guys want the perfect ratio of jelly and peanut butter, you can message me on LinkedIn about that too.
I'm gonna jump in there and talk about the importance of making sure that your agent, and we don't have this scripted, the importance that your agent understands cyber insurance, right? So insurance is its own language, right? Lawyers struggle with it. Uh, Normal, average, everyday people struggle with it. Cybersecurity is its own language. A lot of what Lisa and her team do, it's over my head. Cyber insurance is this weird child of the two, and it has its own terms that insurance people don't understand and its own terms that cybersecurity people don't understand. And that's where it becomes critical that you're working with somebody that understands cyber insurance and the coverages that go into it, the underwriting that goes into it, and has the relationships that Ryan and I do to get these exclusive programs. That we work with people like Lisa who make sure that you're protected, and then we make sure that you get rewarded for it.
The thing too to think about is, like technology is so specialized, like you can have the general technology that'll fix your printer and answer the help desk call and help you get through the day. But that cybersecurity, is such a different animal, such a different skill set. And same thing goes with insurance agencies. If you're an agent, and I know I have agencies are part of our niche. That's we help agencies, and we're here to help the agencies understand the cyber liability and that here's what you've got to do, and let's help bring you up to speed with how to get the right policies, the right things for your clients. So I want to make sure that we specialize in cyber because of the techs that we have, and it's okay to be an agency that doesn't have that, right? And we always want to strive to be better, right? So always want to help more. That's my whole drive is I really want to stop these low life thieves,
Mhm.
and
So true.
and yeah, just we want to help you. And if you're one of those agencies that need more of that help, we can help connect you.
Yep.
We can help you with all of those pieces so you're able to do the right thing and we're able to get the right coverages.
Yeah.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
It's yeah, press the easy button on that. If you're an insurance agency out there, cover your agency press the easy button, contact Lisa.
Will definitely help there. We
Yeah.
also get a little bit into that whole risk assessment,
Mhm.
understanding exactly what you've got in that business, taking a look, and really looking under the hood, knowing what risk, what's your, going back to that whole risk management, what are those pieces there? And that's where we can really help specialize in that. We don't have to be your IT company. We don't have to be your cybersecurity. We can come in and be that third party and help you do that risk assessment and help you connect your insurance agency with the right people, help you, if you don't have that agency, help you connect with the agency that can help. So I really, my strive in life is just to be known as the person that can connect everybody. I want to be able to, hey, anybody that's what I want to be. And I really want to help in that risk assessment and knowing, just really knowing what you're taking on. You
Yeah.
guys got anything to add to that one?
Yeah. I have something, a little bit to add to that. I think a big piece of this is, um, hey, like if you're going to invest, it's like going to the grocery store without a shopping list. Let Lisa create the shopping list for you, right? It's don't just grab solutions off the shelf and invest in it. Have Lisa put together their analysis for you, put together a guide for you, and incorporate the insurance piece in that conversation, right? If I invest in this, what is that? How is that going to impact my insurance, or vice versa? So there is analyses there where, hey, like if we invest in these 5 things, our insurance policy can improve to that platinum level. Plus, we can get a reduction in premium. So those are the little things that I think everyone should pay attention to whenever they're making decisions.
And we
Yeah.
can we can also do cybersecurity without making you live in Fort Knox. Like there are easy buttons to it. Like
Yeah,
we don't have to lock everything down. Like there's services that make it easy for you to work as a user and elevate yourself when you need when you need the right administrative privileges. So don't feel like just because you got cyber security, you're going to be frustrated all the time. Now, there's a learning curve. Don't get me wrong there. And it's technology. It's not perfect, but it's going to be so much better than when you have that ransomware attack. I
yeah,
can guarantee that.
Yeah. I get asked all the time. I've got X amount of dollars. What do I spend it in the world of cybersecurity? An assessment to figure out where you need to go, establish that true north, and then build around that. I love the compass analogy on the slide. If you don't know where you're heading, you're never going to get there. And it's always good to have a path. You may not qualify for a platinum level insurance right now. You may not even qualify for a silver, but let's get you there. What steps do we need to take? And that risk assessment's a great way to do that.
mhm,
And I can
absolutely.
guarantee, yeah, yeah, good deal. Well, if you want to know more, whoa, what happened to my slide?
Maybe
It's
click on
animated.
It's
animated.
animated. I didn't plan it that way. if if you guys want some help, if you we're willing to help connect you to the right people, help you if you have an insurance policy and you want somebody to kind of look over that, talk over that with you, we'll connect you with the right people here. If you want to do a risk assessment, we can help you with that. We've got the capability, and if you're in the insurance agency and you need the connection to the right place, um, for all of that, we want to be your connection. Right here at Tom Tech today, that discovery call will get you booked into a 10-minute call, and we can figure out what you need and where we can help you. That's all what it's all about, is just the education and trying to stop these low-life thieves from operating outside the law and taking our hard-earned money. And I'm
Absolutely.
very passionate about that.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Amen. Protecting
Like
American business.
And you know
that's
what? Can you believe we didn't have one question? Maybe we
I
didn't have anybody
I
on
think
that
it's I think it's
webinar.
broken because usually by the time we
No, I'm
finish
going with the
this,
fact that we were so thorough. We hit all the question points already.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, usually though, they're like, but what about this situation? And I love walking through those. So if you have a challenging one, hit us up afterwards. We love diving deep. And
Dump
if you're an
us.
insurance agency, uh, work with Ryan. He's a wholesale broker, and he can help connect you with these things. I'm just out to, again, let's beat these bad guys. Screw
Yep.
that.
That's right. Excellent. All
All right.
right. That's a wrap for today. And we'll send out the recording here. So anybody wants to catch anything else again, we'll get that going. But thanks, guys. I'm glad you took the time to help me today. And now we can get at it.
Yep.
Heck yes.
Really
Thanks.
appreciate you, Lisa. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Yeah.